Yet another leaked audio memo has come out from the Justin Baldoni Blake Lively legal drama, and the media is working overtime to spin it in Blake's favor. But I felt like it revealed something else. Something Blake and Isabella Fiera are not going to like hearing. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signor. Wanted to break down this latest voicemail because I've seen so many outlets over the past couple days just trying to spin it as if this is some creepy thing. Oh, he got chills, how beautiful Blake was. I mean, it does show once again how, close this relationship was at the beginning of filming until Blake.
The silence was finally broken, and it wasn't a PR statement that did it. It was a leaked audio file that sent shockwaves through the industry. Blake Lively's carefully crafted image is facing its greatest challenge yet as Sony prepares a massive legal response to the chaos unfolding behind the scenes of It Ends With Us. This isn't just a minor disagreement between co-workers. It's a full-scale war for the narrative, and the latest evidence suggests that the story we've been told is a complete fabrication. Careers are hanging in the balance as the truth about what really happened on that set begins to surface in the most public way possible.
Got chills, how beautiful Blake was. I mean, it does show once again how, close this relationship was at the beginning of filming until Blake Lively wasn't getting her way. But this is always the headline. Anything that makes Justin seem like he's always, overdoing it with Blake, they run with it. So I want to play the audio message. There's two sort of portions. There's the beautiful part, which we're going to get to in the beginning. And then there's another thing that I don't think enough people are talking about that I want to discuss with you. But let's start. Here it is. This is the latest voice memo from Justin.
Hey Blake, I hope the fitting was super successful. Thank you for sending those pictures. That was really cool.
A secret voicemail from Justin Baldoni just hit the internet, and it is absolutely not the monster portrait Blake's team has been painting for the media. In the recording, Justin sounds professional, incredibly kind, and even refers to Blake as a genius. This leak acts as a direct hit to the claims that he was difficult to work with or dismissive of her creative input during production. If anything, the audio reveals that he was practically begging for her collaboration from the very first day. The narrative that she was a sidelined artist fighting for a voice is starting to crumble under the weight of this new evidence, leaving fans questioning everything.
Hey Blake, I hope the fitting was super successful. Thank you for sending those pictures. That was really cool. I was in the department head meeting and they came through and I was like waiting for them to load and I legit got the chills when I saw it. And you look beautiful. It's gonna work so well.
There it is. Was that creepy? Is beautiful allowed? Was she going for beautiful? Or is that crossing the line too? Like, are we allowed to give any compliments to Blake? Beautiful's fine, I guess. Or is it? Is sexy hot? Not okay. Even though Sony and Blake herself have said the word and said it's integral to the film's success, but I digress.
Critics and certain media outlets are trying to spin Justin's compliment about Blake looking beautiful in the footage as something creepy or inappropriate. But when you hear the full context of the message, he is clearly talking about the character and the costumes working perfectly for the film's vision. It is a director praising his lead actress for embodying the role they both worked so hard to create. The media is working overtime to make this look like a scandal, but the actual audio tells a much more professional and supportive story than the headlines suggest. It's a desperate attempt to maintain a villain arc that might not even exist.
Your genius marketing brain here, and also your EP brain.
So here's Justin collaborating and asking for her genius marketing brain, her EP brain, literally involving her in this collaborative process as he's promised, which Blake keeps saying he never did.
So first of all, we got 2,600 submissions from around the country for Young Lily, which was incredible. We had a whole team of people sorting and watching, and really just anybody who vaguely resembled you and who could act a little bit made the list. I did a big callback for a few days.
It's almost as if Justin and Wade.
Sony has been watching this PR nightmare unfold from the sidelines for weeks, but their patience has officially run out. Reports are surfacing that the studio is making aggressive moves to protect the film's legacy, even if it means exposing the deep internal rift between the two stars. They aren't just protecting a movie, they are protecting a massive financial investment that is being threatened by this constant stream of behind-the-scenes leaks and social media drama. Sony's legal team is reportedly stepping in to manage the fallout, and their involvement suggests that the situation is far more serious than a simple creative difference between actors.
Found Isabella Fiera. Let's let that sink again. Justin found Isabella Fiera. There she is. Justin found her. We'll come back to that in a second, but I just want to really make sure that was heard.
And she's here in New York. She just graduated from Carnegie Mellon. She's a beast. And as soon as she came on the screen, when I watched it, I was like, ooh, I could see young you in her. And she's got depth, and I can tell she can do anything. And I was so...
Blake has consistently claimed she was pushed out of the creative process, but the audio proves that Justin was doing the exact opposite. He is heard explicitly asking for her executive producer brain and her marketing brain to help guide the film's direction. He wasn't shutting her out. He was actively inviting her into the decision-making process. This revelation makes the creative differences narrative look like a strategic play for total control rather than a genuine struggle for a voice on set. The leaked memo reveals a level of collaboration that completely contradicts the cold and dismissive atmosphere that Blake's camp has described.
But again, nobody likes this is my other channel, by the way. Go subscribe. I keep clicking the wrong link. Isabella looked like Blake. She, before all the drama, yeah, I had no problem with her. She did well. She was good. It's a bummer that Blake and Ryan swooped her in all this drama and sort of ruined it for her, because now she's gotten all this backlash because she sided with Blake, and it makes me angry with her. I got to be honest, because she's out there saying, well, let's wrap up the audio. 30 more seconds.
And so I'm gonna pray and meditate on it tonight, but I wanted you to know the background before I sang.
One of the biggest points of contention is the discovery of Isabella Ferreira, the talented actress who plays the younger version of Blake's character. While the narrative recently shifted to make it look like Blake and Taylor Swift were the ones who personally found her, the truth is much more complicated. Justin was the one who went through thousands of tapes and conducted meetings to find the perfect match for the role. Yet, his credit is being systematically erased from the story in favor of a more star-studded origin tale. This attempt to rewrite the history of the film's casting is one of the most glaring examples of the tension behind the scenes.
How creepy of him, right, guys? Must be so annoying for Blake and Jenny to deal with this guy who prays and meditates once in a while for decisions to try to calm himself. Wow, what a creep.
I would love to hear what you think. I'm going to talk to Sony about it tomorrow as well and get their thoughts. Okay. Yeah, give me a ring or a text after you watch, whenever that is, today or tomorrow. And I'll talk to you soon.
Sounds very collaborative. Sounds very nice. Sounds very reasonable. Now, here's where things just take an odd turn. This is not how it was spun later. It was Blake and Taylor who found Isabella.
Isabella Ferreira has publicly sided with Blake during this drama, but the move has backfired in a significant way online. Fans are now accusing the young actress of being ungrateful to the man who actually gave her the big break in the first place. The pressure to align with Hollywood royalty like Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds is immense, especially for a rising star looking to secure their future in the industry. However, the internet isn't fully buying the sudden shift in the story, and the backlash against Isabella is growing as more people realize how much Justin actually contributed to her being cast in this career-changing role.
Which one do you like? Which is, I imagine a lot of friends might do. The fact that Blake then used that to sort of love bomb Isabella in a way is pretty telling. Taylor was ultimately who made me, pick the choice, as if it was Blake or Taylor's choice to begin with. It's not. It was Justin's. It was Sony's. And Justin's who discovered you, Justin's who read with you, Justin's who got you in this movie, and you completely threw him under the bus. The same person you wrote a huge long email to saying how great he was and blah, 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 blah. What the hell? If you had an issue with him, why didn't you say so? Anything I've learned from this.
There is significant talk behind the scenes of a long emotional email that Isabella allegedly sent to Justin during the filming process. In this supposed message, she praised his direction and thanked him profusely for the opportunity to work on such an important project. If that email ever goes public, it would completely contradict the current Team Blake stance she has taken during the press tour. It suggests that the atmosphere on the set wasn't nearly as toxic as people are now trying to claim for the sake of public relations. The existence of such documentation could be the smoking gun that changes the public's perception of the conflict. The fundamental clash in the film's tone is where the real war likely started between the lead stars and the director. Blake's marketing strategy has been heavily criticized for being too bubbly and lighthearted for a movie that deals with the heavy subject of domestic violence. Justin, conversely, reportedly wanted to keep the focus on the seriousness and the emotional weight of the book's themes. Sony is now caught in the middle of these two very different visions. One side wants a summer blockbuster aesthetic, while the other wants a grounded, impactful drama. This disconnect has created a rift that seems impossible to bridge at this point. Bringing Taylor Swift into the conversation was a genius PR move, but it also added a layer of intimidation to the whole situation. When you have the biggest pop star in the entire world backing your side of the story, it becomes very easy to drown out a director's voice. But now that the collaborative audio has been leaked, even the powerful Swiftie shield might not be enough to protect the narrative that Blake's team has worked so hard to build. The public is starting to see through the high-profile endorsements and is looking for the actual facts of what happened during those months of filming and editing the final cut. Sony is not just sitting back and letting the chips fall where they may. They are reportedly investigating exactly how these leaks are happening and who stands to gain the most from them. The studio's legal team is allegedly tightening non-disclosure agreements and looking for the source of the internal friction that is bleeding into the public eye. They need the drama to stop immediately so the movie can be remembered for its message rather than the playground fighting happening behind the curtain. The stakes are incredibly high, and Sony is ready to take whatever action is necessary to ensure the film's box office performance isn't sabotaged. There was a major disagreement regarding how sexy or hot the film should be portrayed in its promotional materials. Reports suggest that Sony and Blake wanted to lean heavily into the romance and the visual aesthetic to attract a wider audience. Justin, however, wanted to stay grounded in the harsh reality of the book's darker themes, fearing that a glamorous approach would do a disservice to the survivors the story is meant to represent. This wasn't just a small argument about a trailer. It was a battle for the very soul of the project that left the production fractured and the relationship between the stars completely destroyed. Justin reportedly reviewed over 2,600 submissions for the role of young Lily, showing an incredible level of dedication to the project. He was deeply involved in the minutiae of the film, looking for someone who could capture Blake's essence while bringing their own depth to the character. The fact that this level of professional commitment is being ignored in favor of a narrative where Blake found the actress is a major slap in the face to the traditional filmmaking process. It highlights a growing trend in Hollywood where the actual work of a director is being overshadowed by the personal brands of the massive stars they are filming. In the leaked audio, Justin mentions that he is going to pray and meditate on a casting decision. While some are trying to mock him for this, painting him as eccentric or even creepy, many others see it as a sign of a thoughtful leader. In a high-stress environment like a major film set, seeking a moment of peace to make the right choice is a far cry from the aggressive or toxic behavior he has been accused of by anonymous sources. It shows a man who was trying to be intentional with his power, not a tyrant who was making life difficult for everyone around him. This contrast is becoming harder for the public to ignore. Isabella had just graduated from Carnegie Mellon when she was cast, which is a massive milestone for any young actor. In the recordings, Justin describes her as a beast on screen and is clearly excited about her raw talent and potential. This professional excitement is now being recontextualized by critics as something negative, which sets a dangerous precedent for how we view directors working with new talent. If a director can't express enthusiasm for a breakthrough performance without it being turned into a scandal, it changes the entire dynamic of the creative process. The industry is watching closely to see how this narrative shift plays out. Industry observers are now using the term love bombing to describe how Blake and her circle reportedly treated the younger cast members during the production and press tour. By bringing them into the exclusive inner circle of A-list celebrities and high-fashion events, they created a sense of intense loyalty that might have overshadowed the professional reality of the work environment. It is a classic Hollywood power move that is finally being questioned by the public as more details emerge. The question remains whether these young actors are speaking their own truth or simply following the lead of the most powerful people in the room. When Sony's executives hear these tapes in full, they are going to have a very hard time justifying the one-sided narrative that has been pushed by the media so far. The studio has to balance the undeniable star power of Blake Lively with the professional integrity of the entire production team. If the director was actually being collaborative, respectful, and open to feedback, the entire victim narrative that has dominated the headlines falls apart. Sony knows that their reputation is on the line, and they cannot afford to be seen as supporting a false story, especially when legal consequences and contract disputes are on the horizon. You cannot talk about Blake's influence on this project without mentioning the massive shadow of Ryan Reynolds. His marketing team was reportedly heavily involved in the film's promotion, bringing a very specific tone to the project that may have clashed with the director's original vision. This outside influence on a major studio project created a too many cooks in the kitchen scenario that likely contributed to the eventual legal and personal fallout we are witnessing now. When a star brings their own entire production and marketing apparatus to someone else's movie, friction is almost guaranteed, and this film is the perfect example. Justin's comment about getting chills when seeing the fitting photos is being used as a weapon against him. In the world of high fashion and film production, that kind of reaction is considered high praise for the wardrobe department and the actress. However, in the court of public opinion, it is being twisted into something sinister and unprofessional. This shows just how far the media is willing to go to protect a beloved star while vilifying a director who doesn't have the same level of PR protection or a massive fan base to defend him. It's a stark reminder of how easily the truth can be manipulated in the digital age. Blake's decision to completely refuse to acknowledge Justin during the entire press tour was a loud and clear statement to the public. But now that her silence is being broken by leaked evidence of his constant collaboration, it looks more like a calculated cold shouldering tactic than a legitimate response to a bad experience. People are starting to ask why she is so determined to erase him from the movie's success when he was clearly a supportive partner during the actual filming. The optics are shifting rapidly, and what once looked like a brave stand now looks like a coordinated effort to seize full credit for the film's anticipated success. Sony's rumored legal move isn't just about managing bad press, it is about the future of the entire franchise. With a potential sequel on the line, the studio has to decide who they want to move forward with and how to handle the existing contracts. Can they really make another movie with this much bad blood and public animosity between the key players? The legal maneuvers happening behind closed doors right now will determine the fate of this series and could lead to major changes in how the studio handles talent disputes in the future. The stakes involve millions of dollars and the reputations of some of Hollywood's biggest names. Other directors and high-profile actors are watching this entire situation unfold with bated breath. The idea that a lead actor can effectively cancel their director through a whisper campaign and selective leaks is a terrifying prospect for many people working in the industry. If the leaked audio ultimately proves that Justin was a consummate professional, it could spark a massive shift in how these set drama stories are handled by major studios and the media. The industry needs to find a balance between protecting actors and ensuring that directors aren't unfairly targeted for simply trying to do their jobs and manage a complex production. Ultimately, the truth usually lies somewhere in the middle of two conflicting stories, but in this specific case, the middle is starting to look a lot better for Justin Baldoni than it is for Blake Lively. As more audio leaks and Sony prepares their next major move, the world is realizing that the perfect Hollywood image might have some very real cracks underneath the surface. The silence has finally been broken, and the fallout from these revelations is only just beginning. What happens next will likely change the way we look at celebrity collaborations and the power dynamics of major film sets forever.